This study that was performed by Kyle and Russell shows that there are approximately 111,000 to 175,000 foreign-born folks in Oklahoma. An important point of the study is that you cannot confine the economic impact of House Bill 1804 to one sector of society or one classification of workers. Rather, it has an impact to workers in a number of different areas. In the short run, the estimates are that there's an outflow of approximately 50,000 foreign-born workers, which would reduce the gross state production by about 1.3%. That translates into a loss in state productivity of approximately $1.8 billion. That's in the short run. Did I say that right? Good. There will be some new residents that replace some who leave the state, but the long-run impact of the outflow would be nearly 1% of state gross product, or approximately $1.3 billion on a recurring basis. And that's the nut, if you will, of the conclusion of the study.
We took the perspective that the intent of the bill was to precipitate out-migration, and so our perspective was conditional, if you will. If the bill is successful in precipitating out-migration, what expected economic penalty would you anticipate being realized in the economy? Essentially what it would be is losing the workers from the labor pool and their associated, the expenditures of their income. And so if you think about, a simple sense of removing, say, 20,000 workers being removed from the economy, and just to throw a number at $20,000 a year, you're talking about removing $400 million worth of production and income from the economy, and then that removal has multiplier effects. I mean, it trickles through the economy and grows on itself. And so essentially we're looking at, removing a significant number of workers and their production, and then their associated expenditures of their income from economic activity within the state.
If you assume that they're costing the state $207 million per year, which is the fair number, I believe, that's been touted a lot, we're saying, okay, if you remove those, you may save that $207 million, but you're going to lose. We did several scenarios, and the one that's printed here, I think, was a 50,000 out-migration. Yeah. So what we're saying is that you're going to lose $1.8 billion in production, and so you need to have that. We're not saying that the bill was a good bill or a bad bill. We have no comment on that, but from a purely economic standpoint, we wanted to look at what the cost of removing them was.
We asked the question, has anybody ever figured out what this thing will cost the state? And the answer we got back was, well, no, as a matter of fact. So bankers, being typical bankers, asked the question, can we afford to do this? Does this make sense?
It's entirely possible that you could read this report and decide that the economic penalty of $1.8 billion is merited, that it's worth it, that it achieves some larger accomplishment. I think a reasonable person could present that case.
Implementation of this bill could cost Oklahoma up to $1.8 billion.
We in the legislature, I think, acted too quickly. I don't think we assumed a lot of things, and we're assuming some numbers in this case, $207 million as being the actual cost of undocumented individuals here in Oklahoma. I don't know if that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but it's the number that's given to us from the other side. So even taking what may be inflated numbers, we can see what it's doing to us. I think Representative Terrell is making an assumption that these individuals are not making minimum wage. I think in many cases, especially in the construction industry, the starting wage is around $12 an hour. In oil and gas, it's around $18. They cannot fill all the openings they have. And now we've driven away a significant percentage of the workforce. Particularly in construction, we've driven away about 5% of the workforce. There are no workers to take those jobs. And that's the argument that Representative Terrell does not bring out. Where is the replacement worker?